I just made a community post with these Prime Day deals, but I think I'll make a full video to explain them a bit more, as well as I always see people getting ripped off on Prime Day, or at least thinking they're getting a better deal than they actually are. And this is just on kind of Amazon and other websites in general. For example, like I'm posting the Power Color Radeon RX 6700 XT GPU here as $299.99, great. But if you believe that its typical price is $369.99 as is listed here, you're definitely wrong. But before we get into how to tell what do these cards, Amazon stuff actually usually cost, let's also talk about the fact that a bunch of the deals that I'm posting here are AMD products that are coming with the game Starfield. So let's talk about that for a second. So as was rumored, and I reported my GPU news video yesterday, AMD did launch their Starfield bundle deals today. I doubt it's a coincidence that it coincided with Prime Day. But keep in mind that these deals will be available long after Prime Day, although the actual prices of the GPUs and whatnot might change. But basically, I've taken a look at AMD's Starfield page, and these are the eligible products, although you also need to make sure you're buying from a retailer that has access to the coupon bundle deal stuff anyway. So also, I did notice that some of the Starfield bundles are the premium edition. I think one of the main differences there is that you get like 5 days early access to the game, and then some are the standard edition. So do keep in mind those differences, and there are different CPUs and GPUs offering the premium edition versus the standard edition. Now, also, while I'm not going to be talking about any full gaming PC, like full pre-built systems or laptops, it does look like some of them, based on some AMD hardware, will also be eligible for that bundle deal. But anyway, so when I'm mentioning these Starfield bundles, keep in mind that some will be premium edition, some will be standard edition. But this first one that I'm talking about here, the RX 6700 XT, should be the premium edition of Starfield. And while a lot of times I don't feel like a game bundle is worth considering as part of your price for the card, if it's a game you would actually buy, that's when it actually should be factored in. And I think that many people will actually buy Starfield. So in that case, it actually is saving you money. But if you're somebody who wouldn't have actually bought Starfield, then it's not. Anyway, so the RX 6700 XT, and you can look at my recent GPU comparisons. This thing compares very favorably to cards like the RTX 4060, which is like an 8GB card at the same price. This has 50% more VRAM and is faster, even when not running over VRAM. Now, there's a lot of details on that, but again, you could watch my 6700 XT versus RTX 4060 video. Now, usually this card has been over $300, usually in the $320 to $330 range, and occasionally down to $310. Now, let's talk a little bit about how to actually track Amazon's pricing on things. Because again, this says typical price of $370. Now, there's a website called Camel, which is very useful when shopping Amazon deals. They also, I think, have a browser extension, which might make this price easier. But this can get you an Amazon pricing history. Now, the way that you get this is you type in the ASIN number from the product, which you can usually actually find up in the URL if you know where to look. But you could also go like Control F and type in ASIN on the product page. It'll find it for you. This one is this long little string of numbers there. You can copy and paste that, Control C, Control V on Camel. Click that, and then it will find the pricing history of this. Now, one thing with GPUs, though, that's a little bit annoying is, but I mean, of course, makes sense, is that each GPU cooler model will be its own pricing history. So this particular cooler model, we can see, has been as low as $329.99 right here, and then recently has had the price raised back up. And then now we're seeing it down at $299.99. And you'll see this a lot of times right before Prime Day sales and things like that, is that products will have their prices raised and then lowered again for Prime Day, but we can see that this hasn't been as low as $299.99. And in general, I track GPU prices constantly, and this is actually the lowest price I have ever seen for a new RX 6700 XT. Although this isn't necessarily the greatest cooler model in the world or anything like that, this is a great price. Like I said, if you were also going to be buying Starfield anyway, this is listing the Starfield promotion right here as well. Anyway, let's keep on moving to some of the other picks I had for you. So if you're buying on Amazon, the RX 6600 is as low as $189.99 and does also come with Starfield, although I believe this wouldn't be the premium edition or whatever. However, I will mention that another way that you might get ripped off on Prime Day is that a lot of other websites will launch sales to compete with Prime Day, and sometimes they offer a better deal. So I was taking a look at some other websites and noticed that Newegg has it's a different cooler model, but they have the RX 6600 for $179.99, also including the Starfield Standard Edition bundle. So this is $10 less. It's a different cooler model. I don't think either of these are the highest end cooler model, but should get the job done on a card like this that doesn't generate massive amounts of heat or anything like that. So you could compare. There is a $10 difference here, and whether you prefer buying from Amazon or Newegg. And the Starfield bundle does seem to be listed with both. Now the RX 6600, for $180, if you are also, like I said, if you were already going to buy Starfield and maybe you're on an older GPU where you're just not sure Starfield's even gonna run, I'm not saying an RX 6600 is gonna, Starfield's not out. I can't guarantee you it's gonna max the game out at 1080p 60 FPS, but I can tell you that the RX 6600 is a pretty capable GPU, and at $180, and if you were already gonna buy Starfield anyway and factor that into the value, this is really the lowest new GPU I would recommend people getting into if they are interested in, AAA gaming like Starfield, that kind of a thing. So anyway, I think that that's a pretty dang good deal right there. This card has been as low as $180 for a while now on Newegg, but again, throwing Starfield into the mix does certainly help out. Now, another deal I found that's better at Newegg than it was on Amazon is the 6650 XT. So the 6650 XT is noticeably more powerful than the RX 6600. Not only is it like the 6600 XT, which is about a 20% performance jump, the 6650 XT also has faster memory, which gets you a few more percent. So this is probably, it's hard to say game by game, it can vary, but this could be anything from like a 20 to 25% performance bump from the RX 6600 that we had here at $180. Now you might be like $260, but it does have a instant promo code. This is not a mail-in rebate or anything like that. An instant promo code for $40 off, bringing this down to $219.99. And then if you are willing to deal with a rebate, and the rebates are not instant, you have to send stuff in, whether that's a mail, I haven't looked at this particular one, whether it's one you do on their website and they get your information and all that, whatever. Anyway, you could get another $10 off here and bring this down to $209.99. And once again, this is listing the Starfield game bundle here as well. And this is the standard edition. So this is certainly a much bigger performance bump. The 6650 XT is very similar in performance to AMD's new RX 7600, although it doesn't have like the new AV1 encoder and all that. But this is, again, if you factor in these codes at 210 to 220, significantly less expensive than the RX 7600 for only a few percent less performance and without the AV1 encoder. So this seems like a pretty dang good deal as well. Now, leaving the GPU side of things, a lot of people, when buying a new GPU or upgrading in general, are always asking about, okay, is this the time to upgrade to 1440p? Okay, but a lot of people are looking for, you want 1440p, but you still want high refresh rate, and you want to make sure it has variable refresh rate, A lot of times the cheaper like VA panels, that's a screen technology. There's technologies like VA, IPS, TA, OLED, but those will be way more expensive. Things like that. A lot of times on the cheaper VA panels, you'll get a lot of ghosting and smearing on the motion. The more expensive VA panels, you can usually avoid that. Now, I can't find a review for this monitor because this seems to be brand new. It was only listed a few days ago. It seems to be an update to the HP Omen X27Q, which was widely regarded as a good bang for the buck monitor, especially when it dropped to around this $200 price point. But all the specs on this seem to be very, very good. And this does seem to be a brand new 2023 model that was just listed a few days ago. And again, typical price, $289.99. You know what? If we search the Amazon price history on this thing, I'm going to pull up the code out of the URL bar right here. Just a second. Let's actually check Camel. So if I pop over to Camel, I don't think this has been listed for very long. Yeah, it looks like a flat bar at $289.99, but the starting date is, I think, June 7th. So this is only, June 7th. So this has only seemed to exist for a month now. So it is true that it has been listed at $290, but it hasn't existed for very long. That being said, this is a 1440p 165 hertz monitor with an IPS panel, which should probably avoid those VA ghosting issues. Claims 99% sRGB color spectrum and 95% DCI-P3. I would love to see some independent verification of that, but that is some pretty bold and big claims. Now, the downside to IPS panels tend to be like, there can be IPS glow, so if you're on like a dark screen, it can kind of be a little bit glowy around the edges and things like that. But again, at $200 for a 165 hertz 1440p IPS panel, again, I haven't been able to pull up full independent reviews on this because I think it's just too new. But the specs on this certainly seem great. And again, Amazon does have a good, I think, return policy. So if it did not meet your expectations, that is what you get. Now, here's another deal I found that just seemed better not on Amazon. So SSD prices have just absolutely crashed lately. They've been coming way down, and Amazon did have some good SSD deals, but on the actual Western Digital store itself, their Western Digital Black SN850X NVMe SSD, which is very fast, is down at $90 for the 2 terabyte model, which is honestly just for the speed and the 2 terabyte capacity. This is quite a good deal, and I couldn't find anything as good at this on Amazon. And I'll be honest, guys, the Amazon links I'm posting are affiliate links. I make money off of the Amazon sales if you click on one of those links and buy stuff. I don't make anything off of this Western Digital deal, but it just seemed like the better deal, so I'm going to show you guys the better deal, even if I don't get your Amazon revenue. I don't get my share going through there. Now, there were a number of CPU deals that seemed interesting, and some of them do come with the Starfield bundles, so you can certainly look at those. However, for a lot of people who are still on an AM4 motherboard, maybe you have like a Ryzen 3600 or 2600 or something like that, your motherboard could still be compatible, you might need to update your BIOS, with the 5800X3D, which is the fastest gaming CPU available on that motherboard platform. So if you didn't want to have to upgrade your RAM or your motherboard or any of that, and just drop in the fastest gaming CPU that's still quite powerful, this has dropped to $277.70 on Amazon here. But again, this is one of those ones where if you look at the list price of $449, you don't get an idea of what this has actually been selling for lately, because this isn't that much of a discount from where we've been on this. Again, if I check Camel, the pricing history on this looks like this. It has been as low as $288.92. So this deal today is certainly better than the previous low that we have listed, but this is another one of the ones where, look, it shoots up for a little while, and then Prime Day brings it down, right? Now, Prime Day is still seeming to bring it down to its lowest possible point, but again, don't get overly excited by the list price on these compared to the current pricing. Now, if you're buying a new CPU, especially if you're upgrading from one that came with like a stock cooler or something like that, this might need a more powerful CPU cooler than what you currently have available. And when looking through the CPU cooler deals, the best one I think I could find is the Thermalright PA120 series. This is a white version, but it's slightly cheaper than the other color versions. So you could pay a few dollars more, I guess, if you wanted the other versions. But anyway, 2872 for a fairly competent CPU cooler. Obviously, it's not going to be the most powerful one in the world, but I think it will get the job done, honestly, for most CPUs out there. Don't try to overclock a 13900K, maybe. But I think for a lot of the AMD CPUs out there, especially things like this, I think this would be just fine. And yeah, I think those were the best deals I've spotted this morning. I will certainly keep my eye out for other ones, and I may not do another full video tomorrow or anything like that, but if you do keep an eye on my community page, that is where I post the best deals that I find when looking at computer parts, and this is just a regular thing that I do. It's not just for Prime Day. So anyway, hopefully you guys found this interesting, and maybe, I know a lot of people are aware of places like Camel that'll do the pricing history for you, but that is certainly very useful. And again, the Starfield bundle seems like a good deal on a lot of products right now, but keep in mind that this is going to run for a while. This is not just a Prime Day exclusive thing. So also don't get too pressured on that. It's just the actual price of the products might be a bit lower today, either at Amazon or other stores, right? We saw like Newegg's trying to compete, and you know, Western Digital had its own deals, that kind of stuff. All right, hope you guys found this useful and interesting. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, viewers, and channel members, and I hope all of you have an excellent day.